I do that every single week. I'm middle of a sentence and think actually it's hit 0. Come on, man. Right, I'm just going to start a watch party on Facebook as well.
Is there a little count to see who's?
I can see. Can you not see it in your screen? I've got it at the top of mine.
No, I don't think I can. But no, it's fine.
Well, definitely. Well, there's no one there yet, so
cool.
Yeah,
that's all right.
So I'm just going to try and just get over to here so I can. Yeah, it takes a few seconds for everyone to log on. These sort of things. Yeah. Do you live nearby, John? Where do you live?
So I live in Shipley in Bradford. So
Bradford.
Yeah, so our head office is in Bradford. Yeah. So
okay.
Shipley's just north of it, just on the edge of the Dales, Yorkshire Dales. Moved up here about 4 years ago now. 4 years ago in May. And that's flown by. But previously lived in Newcastle, Gateshead up there, and from Nottingham originally. So kind of been more Midlands to the north than anywhere else.
Okay, what's Bradford like?
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's got quite a wealthy history in terms of like the Industrial Revolution and stuff. So a lot of the architecture, a lot of mills around here, and lots of old stone buildings and stuff, and really just very picturesque sort of architecture. But I think since like the 80s onwards, it's had a real decline as a lot of those industries kind of wrapped up here, and we're kind of going overseas and stuff. So Bradford's not a particularly wealthy city, but and it lives in this kind of Leeds, but it's a lovely place to live actually. We've really liked being here.
Most time I've seen you around it is lovely as well. Like say Yorkshire Dales and stuff. Must be quite nice.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's I'm only like minutes away from the countryside here, so it's nice to be able to get out on the bike and love it here. It's very picturesque.
No, good, lovely. Oh, Jen, sorry, just a couple of logging on. It's good.
Great.
Glad it worked out, Jen. We're logging on. Thanks very much. We'll see who else comes. There's 2 other people watching at least. So you want to say hello, so we can say hello back to you. I'm just going to try and start a Facebook watch party. If you're on Facebook, why don't you do the same thing, and so more people can know that John's speaking. I should do this, shouldn't I? So people can see I'm on my phone. I'm just being really rude. Down. It's the only problem with nowadays that you sort of look down like that and people think, what's he doing? I'm making notes.
Yes, so many Zoom calls.
I know.
Where you've got something else on in the background at the same time.
We had somebody log on to a prayer meeting a few weeks ago and they had a telly on, which was quite funny. Somebody went, who's got a telly on? How are you, Jen? Are you okay?
I took typing.
I was going to say, is there any problem with this sort of thing? I can't find my own video to share it, which is silly. If you're logging on, why don't you just say hello to us so that we can say hello back, and then if you're watching on Facebook, why not start a Facebook watch party so other people can join in, hear what John's got to say. He's going to cover a lot of topics today about living in lockdown, life in lockdown. So it's really good and really helpful stuff as well. So why not do that and invite some friends? We've got a couple of minutes before we kick off, and I'm glad you're well, Jen. Yeah, why not just give us a quick hello in the comments box so we can say hello back to you if you're just logging on, and share the video just in these early seconds so that we can get as many people on as we can. And obviously you can share them. Don't forget all the other videos we've had the last few weeks are still on our Facebook and YouTube page, so you can share those with anyone that wants to watch them. We've covered debt and mental health and well-being, grief and addiction last week as well, so I've covered quite a lot of topics. So those things haven't gone away just because we've done a session and moved on. So feel free to share those videos with as many people as you can. Hi, Hannah. It's good to have you with us. No, sorry, I'm looking down here because I've got comments on this one. Comments over here. It's all very good. I'm multitasking, which is important, which I can do very well. So is it sunny where you are, John, or is it overcast like it is?
Oh, it is thoroughly overcast. That's all right. I feel like we've been very fortunate in lockdown to have the weather that we have had, all things considered.
Yeah, sorry.
In Bradford, John, what is the weather usually like up there?
Oh, it's not always that warm, but then when it is summer, it can get pretty hot. I think it's just not quite as warm as the south. But no, we've had some really good weather for the last few weeks. It's really kind of scorchy. So yeah, I don't know how long that lasts. Well, if we'll get that back,
probably not very long.
Probably
kids
not.
break. Usually when the kids break up, it
Yes.
Rain.
It rains.
Yeah.
Elena, nice to see you. Elena's from our church. She'll already be noting that I'm wearing a different shirt to the last time I saw her. We did a thought for a day every day during lockdown for 14 weeks. Quite intense. And I had pretty much a different shirt on every single day. And it left Elena and her family wondering just how many shirts one man can own.
Yeah. Well, that's impressive. I think in lockdown, people have been kind of stretching at how long they can wear the same pair of jogging bottoms.
Yeah. This half's all fresh and neat. You know, the trousers situation is just like one pair of trousers.
Yes.
2 weeks. I should have missed one. But there we are. I'm not embarrassed.
It's a real novelty just wearing a pair of jeans for the first time the other week.
Yeah, that's right. Going out here. Absolutely.
Wearing a shirt, proper shirt.
Right, so should we start? I think. If you're watching on Facebook, why not start a watch party or just share the link to friends and let them know what you're doing. So John's going to cover a lot of topics in a second. So me and Georgia are going to get out of the way. But just to say hello from both of us, or hello from me, I want to say hello, Georgia.
Hiya.
And this is John. John's from an organisation called CAP, which is Christians Against Poverty. But I think we'll be speaking about a whole variety of things today under that. So we're going to get out of the way and then let John talk. If you've got any questions at all as John speaks, feel free to write them in the comment sections of Facebook or YouTube. If at the end of this, or if you're watching the replay of this, there's an email address at the top, which is questions@secchurch.org.uk. So please feel free to drop us a line afterwards, and then we'll pass that question on to John, and he'll get back to you with some thoughts as well. So even if you're watching a catch up, we still would love to hear your questions. But if you have a question, don't feel you've got to wait to the very end to type it out. If it hits you, just type it as you see, and we'll see it and then make a note of it. Anyway, lovely. We're going to get out of the way, John, and let you speak. All right.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you. Okay. So as Gary said, my name's Jonathan Shaw. I work at Christians Against Poverty, or CAP. We're based in Bradford, but we are a debt counselling charity that is based all over the UK. We work in partnership with local churches, and so partner with 600 different churches to run sort of community hubs in those areas to help people that are struggling with unmanageable debt. So we will partner with a local church, set up a debt centre there, and we'll then go and see people in their homes to be able to help them to manage their finances, to get back in control of their debt, to get them to a point where they're debt free and then back in control. But what we've spotted as well in having done that for almost 25 years is that there are other root causes or other root kind of problems that really exacerbate the situation that help people get into debt. And we needed to be able to equip the church to be able to tackle those as well. So alongside running a debt centre where we'll help people in the home with their finances, we also run group services to help people really tackle those root causes. So that might be unemployment. So we have our job clubs to help people to identify the right jobs for themselves, to write a CV, or to go through sort of an interview role play experiencing to help them build up that confidence of being in that environment, and general kind of confidence building exercises as well. It might be that people in our community are struggling with dependencies or habitual spending. That means that they kind of something like pornography or gambling or even social media gets out of control and begins to have a really detrimental impact on their lives. So we have run a group called Fresh Start to help people really identify that sort of problem like gambling, and to be able to put a goal in place that they then work towards to break that addiction or to break that cycle, if say reducing smoking or cutting it out completely. So we will help our group members there to set a goal and work towards that, and we'll celebrate with them each step of the way. And then for a lot of our clients as well who have grown up in really difficult and fraught sort of family situations where some of the sort of basic life skills are missing, we've prepared a group called CAP Life Skills to help people with budgeting advice on how to cook on a budget, how to shop on a budget, how to heat a home effectively, how to manage our relationships, how to manage anxiety or anger, or just our general well-being. And so alongside that, so we have Debt Help, Job Club, Fresh Start, and Life Skills. We also have Cap Money, which is a budgeting course as well. So what we're trying to do is provide services that provide what we call holistic support to our clients to make sure whatever the problem they're experiencing, we can help them not only with the debt, but also help them tackle the root cause of that. Now, when our clients have approached us for help, for our debt help, on average, we find that our clients have 13 different debts. Normally, it's a total of around £15,000 worth of debt as well, which is a staggering amount of money. Now, over a third of that debt, on average, is what we call priority debt, which is obviously those bills that we need to pay that, if not paid, will have a really severe consequences. So, for example, your mortgage or your rent or council tax, your utility bills, these are all priority bills that need to be paid. Non-priority bills would say be your phone bill or a credit card, things like that, where the impact is less severe. But we've found that over the last 12 years or so, our clients' debt situation is becoming more and more of a priority debt issue rather than a non-priority debt issue. So more and more people are struggling just to keep on top of the basics. And what that means is ultimately when people are struggling to pay those bills, when they're struggling to keep on top of the rent and to make sure that they're paying the council tax, things like that, they will then turn to credit. It will turn to the credit card to be able to pay those bills. And eventually, when you can't pay the credit card bill, you take out another credit card or you take out another loan. And suddenly you begin to see this spiraling out of control occur, so that more and more people are taking out more and more credit to try and keep on top of the basics and not actually able to tackle the root cause. So at CAP, we're really about helping people to tackle the debt, tackle the root cause of the debt, but also to help them lift themselves out of that situation. We equip our clients to be able to manage that debt themselves. Now, really, that is very much like a practical problem. Debt is very much a practical problem. But what we sometimes overlook is the emotional turmoil that sort of situation forces upon people. So when people are struggling with debt, it's not just I simply have a problem with budgeting. Typically, it's the emotional impact that debt has that is the most severe thing. So we find that for the individual, people's mental health breaks down, people's general well-being breaks down, their self-worth plummets. For people in relationships, debt causes huge fraught and tension in relationships, arguments. Almost a third of our clients have said that debt has made their relationship break apart completely. And we also find that debt has a huge impact on children as well, with a lot of children from households where there is a debt crisis will then be in a situation where they struggle at school, they struggle with their attention, or they struggle with their own mental health because they know that things at home, we can tell that things at home are having an impact on how those kids are doing at school and on their general well-being as well. So at CAP, what we believe really is about empowering the church to be able to tackle some of these root causes, to tackle some of these real issues that they see in their community. And so we want to partner with the local church and equip a church to be able to help people in their community get out of these situations. Now, what I do at Christians Against Poverty is I'm part of our external affairs team. So we work with the government, with the major banks, with energy companies, with telecoms, with water, with bailiffs and enforcement agents and debt collection agencies to speak up and share the experiences of our clients, so that these huge organizations have a real sort of almost first-hand awareness of what some of the challenges our clients are facing. And we believe that the church really has a mandate to speak up for the poorest, those who don't have a voice, who can't speak for themselves. And so CAP is all about equipping the local church to be able to make a difference, to be able to rally the church together to have a huge impact on these sometimes huge organizations. And so that's a really exciting environment for me to be working in. But I also have a few years as well at CAP of working in debt advice as well. So having spoken with clients, having worked alongside some of our clients who are struggling with unmanageable debt, but really struggling with the emotional impact that debt brings as well. Now, COVID has obviously added a huge layer on top of this of how it's made things far more complicated. So COVID has made us all worry about our own health, but for many people as well, there's been growing money worries that have come alongside with it. So you might have found that your household costs are going up, that your bills are going up because obviously people are spending far more time um, in front of a screen, or they're, in terms of working from home, or their energy bills are higher, or if they've got children on a games console, or putting the kettle on more. So we've found that our clients' household bills are going up. We've found that homeschooling is difficult. Having the kids in the house all day is a huge challenge for a whole, for thousands of households in the country. It's difficult to kind of work full time at home and also keep your kids distracted with homeschooling and, make sure that you're getting that balance right. We've also found for our single clients, or for single people across the UK, those who are living alone or single, mental health has taken a huge impact as well. People's well-being has really deteriorated. 7 in 10 of our clients already report being isolated and alone before you even factor in COVID. So, if you think about how many hundreds of thousands of people, even millions of people across the UK who have been forced into a state of lockdown, unable to go and see friends and family. If you think about that, how that feeds into that cycle of debt, the more isolated we are, the more our mental health suffers, the less able we are to manage our finances well, and you begin to get this cycle, and it's almost like a chicken or the egg type scenario where you don't know which has caused the other, but ultimately people are spiraling into a really dark place. And then for a lot of our clients and for a lot of people across the UK, there's an issue with what we call digital exclusion, where people don't have access to a smartphone, don't have access to the internet at home. Suddenly libraries aren't available, or people can't get out. And ultimately, social media, our mobile phones, the internet have all been really essential for us to be able to maintain the relationships that we have. And yet 22% of our clients don't have any access to any sort of device that enables them to keep in touch with other people. And again, that makes people more and more isolated, more and more likely to be struggling with their mental health. And again, that spirals out of control. 7 in 10 of our clients, as I said, are already struggling with being essentially locked away before COVID even had an impact. But ultimately today, that's my kind of overview of what we do and some of the difficulties that we've seen as a result of COVID and being in lockdown. But ultimately, what I wanted to share with you today is essentially helping you to know that there is help available. Now, there's such a broad range of difficulties that have come alongside COVID. That means that there's so many agencies out there trying to provide help, but have had their own difficulties, I suppose, in providing that help. But really today, I wanted to highlight some of these agencies to you, because we know that debt is not this issue that you see in isolation. Debt comes alongside mental health. Debt comes alongside suicidal thoughts. Debt comes alongside being isolated and lonely. Debt comes alongside being of a particular demographic or age. We want to be able to signpost people to highlight all these different agencies that will be able to help tackle some of these root causes, some of the other factors. So really, I just wanted to kind of go through some of those services with you today, just to make sure that you're aware of what help is out there, and to make sure that if you know somebody that is struggling, that you can tell them of the help that they desperately need. And I should say at this point, if you do have any questions as I go about what we do at CAP or about these agencies, please do interrupt me. I've got the live chat here available, so please do shout out if you do want to raise anything. So I'll begin. So as we've already kind of touched upon it, Christians Against Poverty is a debt counselling charity. We're one that means that ordinarily outside of COVID, we would go and visit our clients in the home, spend that time with them on that sofa with a cup of tea to go through their finances and work out the best solution for them. Obviously, with COVID, we've not been able to do home visits. And so our service has turned to a phone-based service where we will have phone appointments with our clients. But there are a whole range of other debt advice organisations out there as well that provide a very similar service to our own. So if you found that you are struggling to keep on top of the bills, and that you find that you're getting caught up into that cycle that we've already talked about, it's essential that you reach out to get the help that you need. Now, it might be that you've never learned to budget, or you've never been taught how to budget, or you haven't had the tools to be able to budget. And actually, if you actually stopped and wrote down everything that you've got coming in terms of income and everything that you've got going out in terms of bills and spending, that actually you could balance your finances quite well. But after you've done that, if you find that you've actually been budgeting for a time but you're still struggling and that you need somebody to come along and help you, it is essential that you turn to either Christians Against Poverty or another debt advice agency to be able to help you get the help that you need. So just to go through a couple of options that are available, there are organizations like Step Change. Step Change, again, is a free debt advice service that offers help over the phone or online. There's National Debt Line as well, which is free advice service offering help, again, like Step Change, over the phone or online. And that helps alongside people that are working self-employed as well. So if you're a business and you need that help with any business debts that you have, then it's Business Debt Line, but they work in partnership with National Debt Line as well. PayPlan, as well as Step Change and the others, are also free debt advice service as well, and will be able to help you if you are self-employed or running a business yourself. At Christians Against Poverty, we can't help businesses with debt or self-employed individuals, and so it's essential that you would turn to one of these services instead to get that help. Alongside that as well, we have Citizens Advice. Citizens Advice really obviously quite a famous organisation that offers face-to-face advice. Now, they aren't doing appointments at the moment face-to-face, but are available over the phone. So if you are needing some advice about how to budget or how to manage debt, or what benefits you're entitled to, or any advice on housing or employment, if you are experiencing a real crisis at the moment as a result of COVID, or anything aside from that as well, going to Citizens Advice would be a great place to be able to actually sit down with somebody on the phone and talk that through and get the advice that you need. A huge part of what we do when it comes to budgeting is making sure that you are maximizing your income. So that can be a really difficult thing for people if you're working full time and you couldn't possibly take on another job. But if you find that you are able to generate a little bit more income coming to the home, that obviously helps if you are struggling with debt or struggling to budget and to keep your income higher than your bills. But if you were looking to get some advice on what sort of benefits that you could be entitled to, anything from tax credits to universal credit or child benefit, child tax credits, a great website that you can go to is Turn to Us. Essentially, they'll be able to work out what you're entitled to make sure that you're getting essentially the best support you possibly can. Ultimately, when we come to budgeting and come to debt advice, what we're trying to do is make sure that people have more money coming in than they do going out, so that you can then offer something towards those debts, but also have a budget that provides essentially a healthy budget for you to be able to live as a family or to live as an individual without every penny going towards the debts, but actually having a really healthy budget. And an essential part of that is making sure that you're getting the most income you possibly can. As I've already touched upon earlier, debt has a huge impact on people's relationships. A lot of our clients have come to us for help when they've been in rather controlling relationships, or where they've been the victims of financial abuse or domestic abuse, and they end up with all these debts in their names that they weren't actually aware of. So debt is never simply this sort of financial problem that you experience that you're removed from emotionally. It can be caught up in all of the complicatedness of relationships. And so if you found that you need that additional support in your own relationship, or if you know of somebody that needs help in those sort of scenarios, then relate.org.uk would be a great website to go to. They're the UK's largest provider of relationship support. Ultimately, it's great that people feel that they can talk to their partner about their finances. If you're running a home as a couple or as an individual or as a household, it's essential that communication is at the core of that. And so Relate would be a great charity to be able to turn to get that support. On that theme of domestic violence as well, womensaid.org.uk is another agency that are helping women who have been the victim of domestic violence. And if you think about all of that extra time that people are experiencing in the home at the moment, all of the implications of lockdown, if you are in one of those unhealthy relationships, where your partner has been abusive, or if you know of somebody that is in a potentially abusive relationship, then it is essential that you safely get the help that you need, or encourage that person to get the help that they need. And obviously we have to be very careful when signposting or advising or recommending rather an organization like that, because ultimately if we're trying to pass that information on to somebody and there's the risk that that their partner checks their phone, or their partner is listening in on conversations, obviously when we're passing on that sort of advice, we have to be really careful that it doesn't get them into further trouble with that person that is being controlling or violent. I would, speak to that organization first before perhaps, and, to see if they have any advice on how best to recommend that service to somebody that they suspect is being in that situation. It's one of those things that you have to really tread carefully around. Mental health, as we've touched upon, is a huge factor in how people manage their finances as well. And so we have, at CAP, have worked with mind.org.uk before as well. It's all about providing the support that people need to get over those sort of debilitating mental health conditions. So they will have advice about making choices about treatment, or understanding what options are available to them, or what, whether that be counselling, or whether it be sort of CBT training, things like that. If people would just get in touch with Mind, they'll be able to help explain some of the options that are available to them. Now, when our clients have come to us, about 46% of our clients either experience a mental health problem or are in a household where there is somebody struggling with their mental health. And it's only right and good, actually, that mental health gets the platform that it deserves these days. Obviously, it's been something that we are, as a country, sometimes a bit embarrassed about talking about, or we're a bit, it's been a bit taboo. But actually, if we don't actually air these things and talk about them and get people the help that they need, it only exacerbates things, and people end up in a worse off situation. And again, the sort of demand on these sort of organizations has been huge, because more and more people, as a result of COVID, have been isolated, have been in lockdown, have not seen people, have not been able to go to the gym, have not been able to exercise properly, or have not been able to do the things that they find helpful for maintaining and balancing their mental health. I know that I've not been able to go to the gym, and I've not been able to get a bike during this period, and even though they're two really small things on paper, that's had a huge impact on my own well-being, and I've had to look at other things that I could do. But I'm in a really stable and fortunate situation that actually that's not been a huge problem for me. But if you think about somebody struggling with £15,000 worth of debt, a third of that being priority bills, struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety or bipolar, really compounds the severity of the situation. People just don't get the help they need because they can go in on themselves. They get swept away by this current of essentially poor mental health, and it only means that they delay getting the help that they need because they just want to shut themselves away. So again, if you know somebody that's struggling with their mental health, please do recommend Mind. And I'm sure Gary can, I'll get to Gary the information for these websites as well. Now, obviously, there's been lots of provisions by the government during this season, essentially. And obviously, I don't think the courts have been acting on evictions, things like that. So, but if you do find that you are in rent arrears or you need housing advice, then I would go to Shelter. So shelter.org.uk is an organisation that we signpost to at CAP. So if you are needing housing advice or issues including homelessness or eviction or repairs or repossession or even tenancy deposits, all of the kind of complications around housing, Shelter will be able to provide advice there as well. Alongside, oh no, I've missed a couple out. I'm sorry. Alongside Mind, we also have Rethink, who provide practical and general help on a range of issues relating to mental health as well. So rethink.org is their website, and they have local support groups. I'm not sure what their provision has been during COVID, because I know it's a local support group, but I wonder if they've kind of done things slightly differently during this time. And again, for some of those really severe cases of mental health where we really do need to reach out to people and talk to somebody at a really severe moment, Samaritans, as an organisation that have been there for years, helping people that are struggling with suicidal thoughts or tendencies, or just somebody to talk to. So again, Samaritans.org is a fantastic website, and they've also got a 24-hour a day, 365 day a year phone line available as well. I don't want to really go into any more, really, because they're some of the things that we have seen being a huge, well, have been really relevant for our clients rather during this period. So just to recap some of them, we've got Mind, Rethink, Samaritans for people that are struggling with their mental health. We've got relate.org.uk and womensaid.org.uk for relationship or national domestic violence. We've got Shelter for housing. We've got Turn to Us for income maximization and budgeting advice. We've got Pay Plan. We've got National Deadline, Business Deadline, Step Change, Citizens Advice. So I realise now, going all over those again for you, that actually that's probably quite a lot of information, probably information overload as well. So really happy to leave it there, but answer any questions that you might have. So yeah, let's have a look. Can people access your help if their church aren't involved with CAP? Yeah, so it will just depend. Oh, where's that gone? Oh, look at this. It's got all the websites on already. Fantastic. Thank you. Let's have a look. So yeah, Jen says, can people access your help if their church aren't involved with CAP? Yes. So as long as there's a church partnered with CAP in your local area, if you go on our website and punch in a postcode, it will tell you what is available in terms of our services there. So we are a service that is available for anybody, regardless of faith, ethnicity, gender, political persuasion, whatever. We just want to help as many people as possible. But one of the restrictions we do have is that we have to have a local presence there. So there has to be a church in Bradford that runs a CAP service, say, where I live, to be able to provide that service. But people don't need to go to a church to access that, or don't need to be part of your specific church to be a part of that. They just need to be able to access our website or our phone line and have a conversation with us. I hope that helps. Have we got any others? We don't. But thank you, Gary, for whacking those websites up so quickly. Yeah.
Just to give you a chance. Thanks very much, John. Lots of things to think about. I was typing furiously. I apologise for the. I think the way it's appeared on YouTube. It's just divided. Which is really unhelpful. But there we are. They're on the screen, so you can take a photo if you need to. Yeah, if you've got a question for John, just type it on the comments now. But if you don't want to ask it in front of everyone, that's okay as well. You can just email us and we'll pass it on. A couple of people have done that after most talks, so there's no worry doing it that way. I just wanted to ask, actually, you talked about working with different organisations and agencies, sort of debt collection agencies and the government. I guess it must feel, if someone's going through debt particularly, that they're sort of perhaps feel like they're sort of quite low down in terms of society's view of them. People like CAP changing that opinion? Do you feel like people like the government are listening to actually how people should be treated when they owe money?
Yeah, I suppose on paper, you would think that it would be quite black and white, that if you owe money, you owe us money, so you need to pay it. You need to pay your bills. But actually, the reality of it is that all of these organisations you might owe money to, be that your phone bill, your energy, your water, the bank, their sort of attitude towards that is far more helpful and supportive than you would imagine. Obviously, there are some organisations out there that are very black and white, so you need to pay us and you need to pay us now. But actually, people in the kind of debt collection world, across all of those different things, there's been a huge amount of sort of development as to their approach to debt collection, and actually it being far more about how can we help you manage this debt as opposed to pay up, you owe us this money. So on the surface of things, you think, oh, people in debt are on the lowest run, but actually that whole mentality has shifted within those firms because of the way they're regulated by sort of the Financial Conduct Authority, but also because they realise that it's better to help somebody out of debt than to kind of hit them with a stick and say you owe money, or to throw them into bankruptcies, prison, or whatever that they used to do hundreds of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really encouraging to hear. I guess it won't be the same across the board, and it will very much depend on who you speak to, but that's good to hear. Another thought, and if you have another question, feel free to type it up now, and then that's one more, and then maybe George might have something she wants to ask, and she'll do something else. So just thinking about, you covered quite a lot of wider issues, which is really brilliant, because a lot of stuff is all sort of intertwined. I guess everything is intertwined, really, in the end. As we come out of lockdown and restrictions are eased, and those of us that are perhaps in those more stable situations, it's going to be very easy for us just to get on with life and forget all of the sort of things that we've seen during lockdown and kind of put it behind us. What lessons do you think that people like that need to learn, the church needs to learn, councils need to learn going forward?
I suppose in the death advice world, obviously I've got both feet jumped into really. We're really concerned about the demand on debt advice moving forward. So all of the help that the government is providing now in terms of furlough and making sure that people's salaries are paid, eventually that support is going to have to come to an end. The government can't foot that bill forever. And eventually, yes, you've got people that have coped now or are coping now or just are treading water now. Eventually, when that is lifted, you're going to find that actually it's maybe a year from now or 18 months from now that people are actually in a really difficult financial situation where the debt that they have accrued over this period has really got them. And that's where the demand for us in the debt advice world is going to be. So I think it's really important for the church and other organisations to remember that actually this isn't just a blip that we're going to recover from straight away. I mean, we talk about it being a new recession, essentially. But these services, these organisations are going to have to be able to support these people and be mindful of for COVID for the next 2 years or so, at least. That's what we foresee anyway. Because at the moment, in terms of debt advice, we're not getting lots of calls at the moment because so much is uncertain. I mean, you can't enter into a stable plan really to pay your debt if you don't really know what your income is, or if you know your income's going to change in the next, by August, October, by October rather. So at the moment, a lot of people are coping, but only just.
Yes, yeah.
But then soon they're going to be in a lot more trouble.
Thank you. It's sad, but I think it's to be expected, isn't it? No, thank you. That's helpful. And we'll certainly, as a church, keep a list of those organisations and think about what we can do. I'm going to get off and see it. And Georgia's just going to wrap things up for us, but she might have a question of her own. I don't know. But if you've got a question between now and Georgia's bit, then feel free to step in. I think I spelled pay plan wrong in the website there. Sorry, I put 2 N's. It's not 2 N's, is it?
No, but I'm sure it'll come up. Google or.
Sure. I apologise. Right. Okay. I'm going to get out of the way and then let Georgia just.
Hi, John.
Hi, Jordan.
I have got a question actually. Sort of talking about the furlough scheme and possible redundancies and that. If people are not actually in debt now, but they can see it coming, and what difference does it make? What difference would it make if they were to get in touch with someone to help them now with seeing that in the future, than if they were to leave it? Because I know with advice before, we were told that it's good to start early to kind of get plans in place.
Yeah, I mean it depends. For a start, great question, but it depends whether you've been budgeting now. So if you feel that you need the advice now, then grab that advice now and phone one of those people, one of those organisations, and get a budget in place, or get the advice that you need to be able to help budgeting now, because that is a skill, like an essential life skill, that will leave you in good stead for when things do get harder at the end of that. Now, if you then end up that you had, say, entered into a plan with one of these organisations that you were struggling with a little bit of debt now, but you think that things will get worse because your income's going to change when the support ends. When it comes to that point, the advice might change. So you might be on a repayment plan up until that point where you can pay off the debt. But then it might be that at that point you might need to go bankrupt or do some sort of insolvency. But at least you have got into that routine of budgeting, you've got the skills that you need there to be able to look at what you've got coming in and what you've got going out, and weigh the two up and work out what's affordable for you, and to make sure that you're paying creditors the amount that they can afford. So when that support ends, you've already got those skills, but ultimately you've got the advice, and you've got somebody to speak to then to say, this has happened. How does that change? How does that impact my situation now? And they will just be able to say, okay, well, let's look at the impact that's had on your income. Let's have a look at what impact that's had on your expenditure or what you've got going out, and see what the best route forward is for you now. So if you find that you need advice now, grab it, go for it. Don't delay. And if, a lot of people, a lot of our clients wait 2 to 3 years before getting the help because they want to try and deal with it themselves. But I would encourage you, if you're even struggling like a little bit, the worst case scenario is they'll help you learn how to budget and to manage it yourself. So yeah,
thank you.
Hope that helps.
And that holistic support is really important, isn't it? Because like you say, it's something that usually happens over a period of time, and one phone call or one bit of advice doesn't always help the whole situation, does it? So it's really important to have that.
It is. I mean, when our clients come to us, on average they've got 3 other problems aside from debt. So that might be a combination of so that might be a combination of mental health, unemployment, or a learning difficulty, or it might be a physical disability, having been a victim of domestic violence, or having something else going on like anxiety, things like that. And the more of these issues that we have, the more complex and compounded the situation is. And actually, if you're not tackling the whole problem, then it can be very difficult to actually solve any of those problems in isolation. So when we come alongside our clients, it's about trying to sit them down and look at the whole picture, as opposed to saying we can only help with this. You're gonna have to worry about that. But we want to make sure that people are getting the right help, and CAP won't be the right organization for everybody, but we will definitely be able to signpost you to somewhere that can help you, or some of these organizations may be able to help you tackle a specific problem. But debt is, we can sometimes dismiss how easy it is for people to get into debt, or dismiss people in debt and almost look down our noses on them. But actually, all of these complex situations that people are in make it far, far worse. It's never as simple as just saying, oh, we'll just do a budget, and solve it yourself. You've got to get the help to be able to tackle all of those things, and actually take the time to reach out and have somebody come and help you to do it. And there's no shame in that. It's just essential that you get the help you need.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming along today.
Pleasure.
As Christians, we believe that our help comes from God, so we would love to pray for you.
You
can any prayer requests in to the email that's on the screen, and send them to please pray for at secchurch.org.uk. I hope that it's been a help, and that this gets out to those that need it. And if you've got any questions at all, please email us, and I'm sure we can forward them on to Jonathan. And thank you for your time, Jonathan. Thank you for coming.
Really appreciate everything you said.
Good.
And it's been really helpful. And everyone, thank you for tuning in. And feel free, please share this to people that you think might really benefit from hearing some of what John said, or just having those links to those websites. I'll put them back on the screen just for the last couple of seconds. So if you want to take a photo, you can. And drop us a prayer request or a question, that email as well, and we'd love to stay in touch. And if we could help the church in any way, please get in touch with us as well. That's what we're here for. But God bless you, John. We really appreciate everything you've done today, and we look forward to catching up again soon.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Good day, everybody. Thanks very much. God bless. Have a great day.